and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay's Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home some big-time wins. So keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay's Guaranteed Fit is only available for U.S. customers. The other bombshell Kevin Stefanski dropped yesterday during his introductory training camp press conference was that Greg Newsome and Dalvin Tomlinson are both out for an extended period of time. Newsome suffered hamstring injury while training for training camp last week. He had surgery. Dalvin Tomlinson will have surgery. It's a knee scope today. Stefanski says he hopes they're both back by week 1, but there's no set timetable. Jed Wills, on top of an MCL injury last year he suffered in November, had a knee scope. He's still on the PUP list. A hamstring injury is a soft tissue injury. Tyvis, off of these two, Tomlinson and Newsome, let's just assume they're not healthy for the first 3 or 4 weeks of the season, just for the sake of this discussion. Who's a bigger loss for this Browns defense if those two aren't healthy, Tomlinson or Newsome?
That's a great question.
Thank you.
I would say Newsome. I think that they did a really good job of bringing defensive tackles. If Dalvin Tomlinson can't go, you just drafted Mike Hall. You got Quentin Jefferson. So you still got guys that you got. What's the guy that got hurt last year?
They got Shelby Harris.
No,
Mo Hurst.
Mo Hurst. You got guys. There's a bunch of guys that's behind that you can still plug in. Still some veteran guys that you can plug and play. Newsome gone, you got Cam Mitchell coming in. Cam Mitchell played at, a handful of snaps in the regular season last year, but now you asking him to be a starter and prepare to be a starter. It's different out there. Preseason is fine. He was very impressive in the preseason, and if somebody asks you to come in for a couple of snaps a game, that's fine. That's cool. You could do those things. But when you got to do it for 17 games and you got to prepare and now your body you are taking a toll on your body, you got to get used to doing those things. And some of these guys in the slots nowadays are very, very good. So I would say that Newsome, although a lot of people hate Newsome and people are not big fans of G-New does bring energy. G-New makes plays in that nickel position, and G-New has been a big part of the secondary. So with that being said, I would say that he would be the bigger loss.
I'll tell you what, this big right here. It's big right here. I'm not really scared about the structural stuff. When you start dealing with hamstrings and calves and different things with these skill position players, that stuff lingers for years. Them joints, listen, Denzel Ward's hamstring hurt for 3 years in a row. 3 years. When you talk about hamstring surgery, that's his whole game. Corners don't lift weights.
Hey, what?
That's not their game.
Whoa, don't do that. First of all, we got tackle. So you have to lift weights. Wide receivers don't lift weights. That's who you need to say. They ain't touching it.
My most favorite player of all time on defense might be Coach Prime, and he has also said that they're not tackling nobody. Don't get paid for that. But I digress.
It's a new day and age too.
It's a new day. Greg Newsome does have to be in the run fits if you do play nickel. But the problem is, man, it's stopping and starting. It's getting recovery speed. It's trying to catch up with guys. It's change of pace and direction. You need your hamstring for all of that, man. You just pull a hamstring surgery? I don't know, Tyvus, you tell me. Have you been around some guys who have had hamstring surgery? I know pull hamstrings is devastating, let alone surgery.
I think I'm not 100% sure, but Marshawn Lattimore, when he was at Ohio State, I swear he wasn't going to make it. I did. And it was my dog, too. But I swear every year he had something He tore his hamstring or something like that. And it is just every year he was hurt because of a hamstring. And I'm just man, he might not make it. Fast forward now, he's doing well for himself. But it's possible to come back. It's just is a very delicate injury. Like, you got to really be on top of that and stretching and make sure you're hydrated. It's something that you truly got to take care of. I'm just going to tell you right now, if his hamstring is not that great, we will be seeing a lot of rotation at that nickel position to, prolong his playing this year.
I think for me, the biggest loss is definitely Greg Newsome for everything that you all just laid out. Anytime that you deal with a soft tissue injury, that's something that can linger throughout the season. And you talking about pulled hamstrings. This dude had hamstring surgery. I trust Cam Mitchell to be able to step in and play that slot.
You've been
corner.
talking about him for a while.
Yeah,
but
outside of that, the reason why it's a bigger loss is because you got to think about the depth at that position. How many of us on this panel right now can name the Browns' fourth corner off the top of our head? Is it Justin Hardy?
The fourth corner?
Right. Would it be Justin Hardy?
Who's Cam Mitchell?
Well, I'm saying with Newsome out.
He's the third one now.
They drafted Miles Hardy.
No, it's Khalif Halassi.
So
you proved your point.
Right. So I guess the point I'm making
the Browns are very high on him. This is a guy that they picked up last year, and he was inactive for every game, but he stayed on the 53-man roster.
It's gonna be something I'm gonna
They are really high on
It's gonna
him.
be something I'm gonna watch. But the point I'm making is like if he's not expected back until week 1, and we know the hamstring is something that can linger. When it comes to the depth, I am a little bit worried because it's not like Denzel is known to play a full season, right? Mm-hmm. And so if you can really count, if you can pencil Denzel in to probably miss 2 or 3 games this year,
he going all 17.
You see what I'm saying? Like
he's
it's
going
just
17.
That aspect of it, it really bothers me. I'm cool with the depth on the defensive line. I understand Dalvin is more of a run stuffer, and you need him on first and second down. But when you got Mo Hurst and Shelby Harris. Like, those dudes are run stuffing defensive tackles, too. And then you look at guys like Mike Hall and Quentin Jefferson, who are pass rushers from the interior. You still got a lot of depth there. But, again, with Greg Newsome out, you got Cam Mitchell stepping into that slot corner position. If somebody else was to get hurt and have to miss a game or two, that changes everything.
And so if you watch, Ultimate Browns is coming up today, by the way. We make our triumphant, at 5 o'clock. Make sure you check that out. One of the things I talked about with this defense, because it just so happens these injuries, 2 injuries, and we talk about is on defense. The way the Browns play, I think last year there's a stat that they played man coverage 36% of the time. The league average, it was only about 24%. And so that looked cute, but when you ain't got Greg Newsome in there, like, I don't know if they're going to be able to continue to play that much man coverage and not have a switch up. And there's a lot of stuff where the Browns got beat on last year was just running guys across the line, running across guys in motion. And if you're a man coverage, they snap the ball, throw it to a guy quick, and they got 5 yards off back. I think they're going to have to start running some more zone. And that takes a little bit of time because the Browns aren't used to. And when they was trying to do it, they weren't communicating well. So this, to me, is going to probably show me that they're going to be running a little bit more zone.
I just thought about something, and maybe we can find this after the fact. But there was a game that Greg Newsome missed last year. Cam Mitchell stepped in. And that particular game, I wonder how much man defense the Browns ran in that particular game.
Yeah.
The Chicago game?
I think so, because
I'll look into it.
If they still was able to run man, that means they trust Cam Mitchell in that situation.
You run man because of
the defensive line.
No, yeah,
it's easy.
No, it's easy. Like he's not gonna blow that coverage. Like you're your guy. Like if you got guys out there that you don't trust that's gonna be in the right spot, you got to run man because he can't mess that up.
Because it's wide open.
Yeah.
Remember
if you run zone and and they do some motion and stuff, and he not supposed to go with the motion. He's supposed to stay, but he just so happened to go with the motion. Now you got 2 guys that's playing in the flats, but nobody's to the flats the other side. It's too much that goes into it. So you'd be like, you know what? Forget all that. We just gonna play man. If your man going motion, that's your man.
I think that's what makes the Browns impactful though, because Jim Schwartz came in and he kind of just simplified everything, and people was able to play react-free football last year.
And you said, would you have McNuggets?
He missed, and by he I mean Newsome, did not play against Arizona and Tennessee. In those 2 games, the Browns held their opposing quarterbacks combined to less than 150 yards. Now, Clayton Tune was one of those quarterbacks, and he threw for negative 10.
Okay.
So take that however you want.
Okay.
But still, you combine
Negative
2 quarterbacks without
insane.
Newsome. they had two of their better performances. Can I make the case for Tomlinson? I agree with you, it's Newsome. But can I make the case for Tomlinson?
Sure.
Because I do think it's at least close. If you look at the Browns' depth chart in the defensive tackle position, Tomlinson's a legit run stuffer.
Right.
And outside of Tomlinson, the rest of their defensive tackles are more interior pass rushers than they are traditional run stuffers. And we talked about JOK's ascension last year. We talked about Taki taking that next step. Part of the reason they were so successful and effective was Tomlinson and whoever else was next to him were eating up blockers. And Tomlinson's numbers don't look great. 28 tackles, all 3 of his sacks came in that Arizona game against Clayton Tune. So in the other 16 games he played or whatever, he had 0 sacks. He takes up 2 blockers by his pure size and stature. And if he's not in the lineup, you're looking at a run-stuffing rotation on first and second down of Shelby Harris, who's a rotational guy, but when he plays, has played well. We'll see how he does with extended reps. Quentin Jefferson, who graded significantly higher last season in pass rush than he did in run defense. Same with Mo Hurst. Siaki Ika's a giant question mark, and Mike Hall, the one knock on him coming out, was a little undersized for a 3-down defensive tackle at the point. So I know Earl mentioned in terms of first and second down, they may have some issues trying to stop the run. On third down, I have no concerns, so he won't play on third down anyway. But I do think that may impact not just their ability to stuff the run up the middle, but how open and free JOK and Jordan Hicks and the other linebackers are to run around if he's not eating up 2 offensive linemen on each play.
Let me just give a little bit of pushback on that, right? When they drafted Mike Hall in the second round, and then you go you sign a guy like Quentin Jefferson, and you make sure you re-sign a guy like Mo Hurst, what does that tell you, and what did Andrew Berry tell you? You know, the evolution of this team and in this defense, and as you continue to build this system out and install this system, the Browns are changing the way that they want to attack on a defensive line based on whatever happened or didn't happen last year. And Andrew Berry talked about, you know, they're putting emphasis on getting QB rush from the interior. And so when you see guys like Quentin Jefferson be signed, the emphasis to re-signing a guy like Mo Hurst, and then you draft a Mike Hall, it tells me that they're looking for more pass rush from the interior of the D-line anyway than they are a run stuff.
Well, they've drafted guys, and they went out and got guys in free agency. You know, they drafted Siaki Ika in I believe the 3rd round. He is a quintessential nose tackle. So, you know, he's a big guy. He's a guy who hasn't shown very much. He's been inactive a lot. But, you know, it comes down to your drafting and whether they trust their board. Like, they knew that they needed another defensive tackle. I will say that they have more in-house that could answer a lot of questions on the defensive line. One little stat that you threw out that I didn't even really, I'm kind of like a little nervous about as well is Jed Wills, man. Like, I believe he's going to start the year on the PUP list as well.
It's the active PUP list.
Yeah.
So as soon as he's ready, he can be activated in practice. He does not have to miss the first 4 games. But, yeah, he got hurt and had surgery in November, G. The Browns released a statement at the time saying he's expected to make a full recovery and be good to go to start the 2024 season. And that still may be the case. I just don't love a guy starting on the PUP list for training camp when his surgery happened about eight and a half months ago.
And I didn't think it was of the level of a Jack Conklin injury.
Or Nick Chubb, exactly.
Or Nick Chubb. Yeah. I didn't think so. But from that understanding, here's the thing about big guys and scopes. I've had probably, I want to say, 7 scopes in my life. 7. Like, when you start having scopes to get that cleaned out as a big dude, that tells me one thing. That means there's deterioration going on because they're cleaning up meniscus, they're cleaning up the particles, debris in your knee. And my left knee is great. I've never had a scope on my left knee. I had 7 on my right knee. And, you know, I've had ACL surgeries in both of them. So sometimes you get that knee that becomes to be more arthritic. You get problems with it. You got the inflammation. And the thing that knees do not like is weight. Your knees do not like weight, man. Like, you know, they talk about if you lose a certain amount of weight for every 10 pounds, there's I think it's either 40 or 50 pounds of pressure that you lower off of your frame. And when you got big dudes that's bending down, got to stay low, and is in the trenches, You use your knees just like the DBs use their hamstrings. So I think he'll be able to come back. Dalvin Tomlinson, they'll be able to work him out. The scope isn't that serious. But I'm a little worried about Jed Wills a little bit.
Would you pay him?
Who?
Jed Wills? I'm not worried about – let me make this one statement about Dalvin Tomlinson. I will never worry about a defensive tackle that Jim Schwartz coaches. Now, about Jed Wills, would you pay him?
It all depends on what he do this year. Like, I don't think he's going to be no – last year, when you look at his PFF grades, he graded at 54%, which is the lowest of his career, played the lowest amount of games in his career due to injury. He actually rated higher in his first 2 years, and he's trending in the wrong direction. And I don't like the fact – I don't know how he's going to play, and can you correct a high motor with a lineman? Can you correct nastiness? Can you correct finishing blocks? I don't know if you can. But if he has a good year, I wouldn't mind bringing him back at the right price because tackles don't grow on trees. And I don't know necessarily if I want to spend my first-round draft pick on a tackle when Amari Cooper is.
I got a theory about Amari Cooper, but we'll talk about that in a minute.
Well, we are going to talk about Amari Cooper next. And, guys, we appreciate